On February 2nd and 3rd, the Ahmadiyya Muslim Community USA held its 18th annual National Public Affairs Seminar and 14th annual Day on the Hill. The flagship events of the Public Affairs Department took place at the national headquarters in Silver Spring, Maryland, and in Washington, D.C. Over 120 delegates from 48 chapters across America attended the events. The national seminar featured an annual report by Amjad Mahmood Khan, National Secretary for Public Affairs, and opening remarks by Maulana Azhar Hanif, National Vice President and Missionary in Charge of Ahmadiyya Muslim Community, USA.
What is our role in helping the Khalifa doing this great task at this moment in time? We are those who follow the Holy Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. We are the type of Ja'far who are ready to stand in front of the great kings and present our truth very calmly, very collectively, with composure.
The interactive sessions included expert presentations on effective engagement with members of U.S. Congress and best practices for social media and press.
If Muslims are not actively engaging with the media, others will define our story for us, and that's where we lose. It's critical that we become the Islamic voices in the media. That's our goal.
In addition, special guest Naseem Malik of the International Human Rights Committee in Sweden and Murabbi Marwan Gil of Argentina shared inspiring stories from their outreach work.
As you said, tell them, equal citizenship right, that every citizen of every country should have that right. Alhamdulillah. In November Monat, in United Nations, the word equal citizenship right has been accepted by the United Nations. So now they have sent a note to all the countries, from the United Nations that every citizen, equal citizen should right be given to everyone.
I think a very important prayer which Allah Ta'ala has taught all of us when we go in representation of a prophet, of a khalifa, is the dua which we should always keep in mind, especially when we go on behalf of the Jamaat, which is Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli.
The next day, delegates embarked on a day on U.S. Capitol Hill in Washington, D.C., in which they held meetings with over 115 U.S. congressional offices, including direct meetings with individual U.S. senators and members of the U.S. House of Representatives. Delegates then joined a special program held by the International Religious Freedom Summit entitled "In Solidarity with the Persecuted, United in Advocacy." In a powerful showing of unity, representatives from 8 severely persecuted faith communities, Rohingya Muslims, Yazidis, the Falun Gong, Ahmadi Muslims, Christians, Jews, Shia Muslims, and Uyghur Muslims, spoke on behalf of another persecuted community, highlighting developments in persecution from the previous year.
Ahmadi Muslims who believe in an Islamic message of peace and reject religious violence continue to suffer severe persecution worldwide. In 2024, their situation continued to worsen, particularly in Pakistan and Algeria.
Today, more than 380 million Christians worldwide face high levels of persecution and discrimination for their faith. That means 1 in 7 Christians globally endures oppression simply for practicing their religion.
Shia Muslims who comprise 10 to 15% of the global Muslim population continue to face grave persecution and targeted violence worldwide. In 2024, the situation worsened significantly in several regions.
The Yazidi community has endured unimaginable suffering, especially since the genocide attack launched by ISIS in 2014, which has among the most horrific chapter in their history. Thousands were killed and 1,000 more, particularly women and children, were abducted, trafficked, and subjected to brutal enslavement.
The Rohingya people continue to suffer one of the most ignored genocides of our time. Over 600,000 Rohingya remain trapped in Burma, where they face massacres, torture, and destruction of their villages at the hands of both the Burmese military and their Arakan army. In November 2023, union conflict in Rakhine State escalated violence against Rohingya civilians, with women subjected to sexual and gender-based violence. Entire villages burned to the ground.
Now, persecutions against Jews is not new. But over the past years, the world has seen an unprecedented surge in anti-Semitism, reaching levels not seen since the 1930s in Germany. The study published only 2 weeks ago found that the anti-Semitic incidents have risen significantly, with Australia and part of Europe seeing some of the most dramatic increases.
Falun Gong, a spiritual practice rooted in Buddhist traditions, has been subjected to severe persecution by the Chinese Communist Party since 1999. In 2024, this persecution marked its 25th year, with significant developments both within China and internationally.
The Uyghur people, a Muslim Turkic ethnic group from what is now northwest China, known as Xinjiang region after the CCP's occupation, has been subjected to a state-sponsored campaign to erase their identity, their culture, and their faith.
The Secretary General of the Organization of American States, His Excellency Luis Almagro, provided keynote remarks about the importance of preserving religious freedom in the Western Hemisphere.
We understand that promoting human rights, including freedom of religion, is central to our mission. This is not an easy topic, so it requires our attention with open minds and hearts. Our focus today on religious freedom is not merely an abstract principle. It is a cornerstone of human dignity and a prerequisite for a peaceful coexistence and democracy in our diverse societies.
The co-chairs of the International Religious Freedom Summit, Dr. Katrina Lantos Sweat and Ambassador Sam Brownback, explained how the Ahmadiyya Muslim community advocates for others with the same zeal as they do for themselves, and how this approach helps to achieve true religious freedom.
And then you prosper and you grow. And if we become a united force, this is a force that cannot be defeated. And divided, this force is easily picked off. Let's see the Yazidis stand up against a powerful force in that region by themselves. Let's see the Ahmadis stand up in Pakistan by themselves. Let's see how far that goes. It's a hopeless situation that way.
I also just have to give a shout out to my many wonderful friends in the Ahmadi community. They have made me feel like an adopted sister in that community, for which I am so grateful. I've had several very precious opportunities to meet with His Holiness, the head of that community, and one cannot help but be inspired and uplifted by the quality of the lives they lead, the depth of their faith, the inclusiveness of their love and compassion for humanity.
It reminds me, as someone who belongs to a faith community that itself is persecuted, of something that is mentioned even in the Quran, this idea of the three principles of human relations: justice, kindness, and kinship or benevolence. The idea of justice is a basic safeguard in Islam. It's a basic safeguard in all faith traditions. But the true pursuit is to be kind to someone, to have friendship with someone. That's the second level of human relations. But you can't stop there as a Muslim. We must ascend to that final stage of human relations, what we call in the Quran Ita is el qurb, for those of you who are from the Muslim tradition, which is loving someone like you love your own mother. That is the peak of human relations.
Nearly 150 people participated in this unique event, including congressional staff, thought leaders, and members of civil society, which took place at the Rayburn Building on Capitol Hill.
I think that when you have people of all different religious faiths coming together in support of certain key values, it makes it possible for people of different ideologies, different parties to support those values. And so my hope is that the relationships formed here and the message sent by being here together can help move legislators of all parties and ideologies to stand up for this fundamental right around the world and at home.
The next day, a dinner reception was held at the American Fazl Mosque in Washington, D.C., with 25 special dignitaries and foreign delegations from 5 countries in attendance. On February 3rd to the 4th, the Ahmadiyya Muslim Community USA also participated at the 5th Annual International Religious Freedom Summit, which was attended by over 1,700 delegates from 81 countries, representing over 40 faith communities, which made it the most globally diverse IRF summit to date. Amjad Mahmood Khan spoke at the plenary session of the summit.
Is your sect, the Ahmadiyya Muslims, do they view you as an infidel like the Sunnis or the Shias in that sense?
So there is a perception that Ahmadis are not Muslim, but they should be allowed their rights. Just call yourself non-Muslim and everything will be okay. Well, the Constitution of Pakistan says we're not Muslim, but I pray every day. I fast. We make the pilgrimage to Hajj. We feel that we are orthodox in our faith, and yet we are otherized to the point that we're not Muslim. This can't be the way. You can't judge someone's Muslimness. That judgment should be, it's a divine judgment. All you can do is let people have the self-profession of faith. That's such a quintessential human right. The ability to self-identify so that you don't be called the wrong kind of Christian or the wrong kind of Muslim. That's the power of this summit.
In addition, an exhibition of the Ahmadiyya Muslim community featuring the martyrs of the community and the latest reports on the persecution that the community faces drew over 600 attendees of the summit throughout the 2-day proceedings. This is Sayyid Zishan Ahmad Akif reporting for MTA International USA Studios.